Five, four, three, two. Aloha mai kākou, pākahi a pau. Aloha everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the first OHA Trustee Candidate Forum in a series of 3 that we have. We're going to be talking stories with the potential trustees for the Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi area. And then we're also going to be talking stories with the candidates for the Kauaʻi and Niʻihau area. We also have some, so actually we're going to give a couple minutes just to let people log on. We want to mahalo you guys, the respective trustee candidates, for joining us. But we also have a very special guest with us today, and this is Brother Sam Kapoi. Aloha, brother. How you doing?
Molokaʻi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Mahalo for having me.
Why don't you just start off with a brief ho'olaha? Just tell everybody else who's watching who you are, where you stay, what you do, what you're about.
Right on. Well, aloha mai kākou. O Samuel Kiri Inui Kapoi from Puea Waianae, deep in the valley. Born and raised out here. Went public school all my life and just decided for get involved with Hawaiian kind things. And so I'm a serial entrepreneur. I run businesses out here in Waianae. Went off to school back in 2004. Came back home 2007 from California. Got my degree and been running business ever since out here. So aloha.
Well, thank you so much. So we're talking today about civic engagement, right? We're just trying to get people to get out there and vote. So what would you tell people? Why is it important to vote?
Well, some things that when I started getting educated about voting, first of all, it's your right to vote. Second, of course, it's because of money, federal money, to be, specific. And if you don't vote, someone else going, and so you cannot complain that something is wrong if you don't do something about them. So get out there and vote. Another thing is taxes, of course, effects on your job, and of course our keikis. Once you get keiki, a little bit more important for the vote because as part of the whole system is improving your keiki's education is due to voting. And of course, healthcare, that's a big thing out there that a lot of people don't, I guess, link that together. Social security, of course, just in general, your neighborhood, by getting active and voting, you can change choke in your community. And so, which kind of leads to one thing I just recently found out, being out here in Waianae, typically we always get the short end of the stick. And the only reason that I kind of figured out was because nobody is registering for vote. And so, kamaina, like, all my peers out there that is in the 18 to 30 or 40 range, we got to go register. And the timing is kind of perfect because I guess the government made it a little bit more easy for all of us just for register. Take like 2 minutes, literally. I made my friend do them the other day. And was real easy online, registered, and was Paul. And just with those numbers, for example, like Waianae, talking to all you guys out there, is by just registering, we can really change choke stuff that we seeking, whether it be the roads, the parks, the whatever. And so go out there and register at least.
One of the unique things about the state of Hawaii is that we have these OHA trustees that we also need to vote for. Why is it important for people to vote for these OHA trustees?
Well, I think, because, I know OHA is for our people, right? It's literally the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And so as a kanaka, getting to know, vote for the right person that fit what you thinking that you need change in, go out there and support them, because that's, if you're championing this particular trustee, then they could do some change for our people. And so that's one huge important one. If you like to see something happen, go make them happen by voting.
So in my last minute that I have you, Sam, what would you tell a young Hawaiian and how would you inspire them to vote?
Oh man, I was
You have
once
45 seconds.
and might not seem important now, but when you hit your stride in the 25 to 30s, close to 40s, you can realize you should have voted earlier. So get out there and make them happen now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, brother, for being here with us. I did want to just emphasize that, you know, the deadline to register to vote is on July 9th. So if you want to visit olvr.hawaii.gov, you can still register to vote if you have not. Once again, that's olvr.hawaii.gov. And the deadline to register is July 9th. All right. So we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of this candidate forum. I'm just going to explain. We have several questions that we've given our OHA trustee candidates, and we are going to be asking them. The first one is going to be an introduction, and it's going to be 1 minute, and all of the questions subsequent to those questions will be given 2 minutes. They're going to have this yellow card right here to signify that they have 30 seconds left, and when their time has elapsed, I will hold up this red card. And if they continue to talk, we have our lovely friends at ʻŌiwi TV on the side, and they're just going to press mute. So we have 2 minutes for regular questions, and we have 1 minute for our first question. So can I welcome all of our OHA trustee candidates? Aloha mai kākou. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to start it off right off the bat with our introductory question. Who are you? And some opening statements. Our first one to go is Luana. Luana, if you can unmute yourself and give us your introduction, please. You have 1 minute.
Aloha, everyone. I'm Luana Alapa, and I'm a proud graduate of the Kamehameha schools. I continued my education and received my Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Hawaii in the field of psychology, specializing in family. I'm a proud mother of 4 adult children, and I'm also a grandmother to 2. A boy and a girl. I'm also a licensed insurance agent. I'm also an event planner, a motivational speaker for women in empowerment, and recently joined Toastmasters. I am also a Rotarian and a member of the Honolulu Club, and I enjoy being a part of a variety of events, especially when it comes to sports. I'm a sports fan all the way and love playing tennis. That's a nice activity for me. I enjoy meeting people. I love getting to know people on a personal level, and it's a wonderful way in which I get a chance to communicate, to hear from others of what they are concerned about, and I hope I can bring that to the table as an OHA trustee.
All right, mahalo. Next up, continuing us in our Molokaʻi Lānaʻi trustee candidates, we have Colette Machado. So if you can please take yourself off mute and introduce yourself.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
aloha mai kākou. I'm Colette Machado. I'm an incumbent running and seeking the position of OHA trustee for Molokaʻi Lānaʻi. I'm born and raised on Molokaʻi. I graduated from the University of Hawaii in 1996 with a degree in education. I have been a strong advocate of Native rights and also for policy making. I served on the State Land Use Commission, the Department of Hawaiian Homes Commission, and the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Next up, we have Ui. Aloha mai.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Aloha, my name is Ui Kahue-Cabanting. My ohana has been Hawaiian homesteading on North Shore of Molokaʻi for about 71 years. I am a micro business owner in agriculture. I am also a cultural practitioner. I supported Mauna Kea Punana Niho Kia I o Kahuku. I view myself as a mana wahine who is affiliated with groups and nonprofits such as the Hawaiian Civic Club, the Sovereign Hawaiian Homestead Association, and supporting the newly developing Department of Agriculture for Maui. Lahaina Action Committee, I'm a board member. The ACLU and Keeping Our Kanaka Home, volunteering Department of Education, and many other groups that I'm interested in and try to have my civic community involvement. It's time for a change, and from someone who can truly represent the island of Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi. So please vote for me.
Mahalo, mahalo nui. All right, next up we have Dan Ahuna. Dan, if you can unmute yourself, please. You have 1 minute.
Aloha mai, can you hear me?
Yes.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Dan Ahuna, and I am from Kauaʻi, and I was born on the homestead of Papakolea. What people don't know about me is I have 6 beautiful children, 2 foster children, and I love to serve my community. I'm an educator. I have my degree in bachelor's in education, and I love to serve my community through project-based learning and working alongside with our kupuna and stakeholders in our communities. And I feel that I'm a fighter and someone who believes in our people. So vote Dan Ahuna. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, Dan. Up next, we have Kamealoha Smith. Kamealoha, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself. You have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Hi, Velina mai kako. I am Kamealoha Smith. I'm a native Hawaiian from Anahola, Kauaʻi, and I'm running for OHA Kauaʻi and Niʻihau Island seat. I hold a master's degree in second language teaching with a focus in Japanese from UH Manoa, and a professional teaching diploma in education with a focus in Hawaiian knowledge from Halau Wanana. I offer my 25 years of experience as an outreach educator and program administrator in nonprofit. During times of emergencies like the CV-19, I've been called upon as a nonprofit program administrator to locally coordinate meal programs, develop programs for our house's population, create educational programs for keiki, and develop projects focused on building the capacity and the resilience of our communities to be self-reliant. I'm humbled to work in my community, passing out meals, connecting people to essential services, and providing fellowship and taking the time to listen about the concerns and needs of others. If elected, I plan to bring to OHA the same level of commitment, integrity, and no-nonsense grassroots approach to solving problems in our community and the larger Hawaii community. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, everybody. Well, I think we're off to a really good start. Everybody's been starting when they need to start, and then also ending where they need to end. We have one last one of our introductions. So Brittny, if you can just keep us on this train and keep us moving, what is your opening statement? You have 1 minute.
Aloha, my name is Brittny Perez. I was born in Honolulu and was raised in Waianae and Makaha Valleys. I moved to Kauaʻi when I was about 11 years old and have primarily lived here since. I've moved off island a few times just to go to school in California, where I studied political science. I've moved back since, and I'm continuing my studies at UH West Oahu through their online education program. So far, COVID-19 has stopped a lot of the projects I've been wanting to do, but there have been members of the community who have reached out to me, and they want me to start some civic engagement with just learning more about our culture here on the West Side and our cultural places to practice at. So that's what I hope to get moving forward.
All right, mahalo, Brittny. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of our questions, and we're going to start our forum with our 2-minute questions. So stay tuned, everybody, and mahalo.
Bruh, heard they have a new process of voting this year. I don't vote, bro. Bruh, why not? It's so easy. All you gotta do is register by July 9th, get your ballot in the mail, fill them out, send them back. No lines, no poll station, just you and your kuleana. The only kuleana I have is become the next big MMA club.
You think that's kuleana?
Lima McFarlane?
Vote. It's our kuleana, our right and responsibility. Before you represent Hawaii in the cage, make sure you represent your people with your ballot.
You vote?
Of course I vote. That's the only way I can knock out leaders that don't serve my community. Visit olbr.hawaii.gov and register by July 9th.
Until July 9th to register to vote. And on that ballot, you will be seeing some of these names, and we're going to be going right into our questions of our OHA Trustee Candidate Forum. The first person to answer this question is going to be Colette, and this is our question, our first question for our forum. In recent years, closures to tourist traffic due to natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed Hawaii's economic overdependence on tourism and the negative impacts that tourism has on natural and cultural resources and the communities that rely upon them. How can OHA play a role in balancing the benefits of tourism and the negative impacts on natural and cultural resources and the communities who rely upon these resources? Our first one in 2 minutes is Trustee Machado. So Colette, if you could please unmute yourself, you have 2 minutes.
You know, basically, my mana'o is on the tourism is that they treat Hawaiians as the hospitality industry. We provide the cultural foundation in all of their approaches to the tourists. So they portray the Hawaiians as sort of the cultural component and the aloha ingredient that makes Hawaii, Hawaii. We paid the high cost of that with the loss of resources and subsistence activities because of the amount of tourism that has come, the impacts that it has done economically. So I'm concerned that down the road, how we will be able to bring back a sense of some form of tourism that would respect our culture, that would begin the aloha mai, the cultural benefits that would come out of this industry, not always promoting Hawaiians as being the frontliners, and we have to be the ones that would accept all things. So it's been such a difficult issue, but how at OHA can we support them? Cultural enterprises that we would want to do, these small businesses that would help frame these kinds of works to engage with the so-called tourist industry. I think cultural practices are critical in this, that we are the home culture, and that people must be reminded that we paid a high price because we were here as early as back as 750 AD, and we were the original indigenous people of this land, and so often they forget that. So if we can push that issue with the tourist industry and continue to force people to understand Hawaiians matter and the kind of positions that they receive is critical for the future of this industry to survive. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Trustee Machado. Next up, answering this question, we have Ui Kahue-Cabanting. You have 2 minutes to answer this question. If you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Aloha. This question it's much like another question that we had earlier. And that part I said that, you know, food safety was one of our biggest issues because of COVID-19 and education. And that relates a little bit to the tourism industry stopping, and it became a bottom line. Everybody had a reality check of how dependent we are on tourism. Whether it was positive or negative, it made a lot of people think hospitality is a part of who we are as a culture. We are proud of Hawaii name. We feel blessed. And of course, it's inherent that we share with those who are less blessed. However, I'm of that opinion that our hospitality has been taken advantage of, and that the priorities of those in power have done more than our resources can handle. So it also is ridiculous with all the resources that we do have, that we depend on this one industry so heavily. It's like my mother saying, you know, put all but one egg in a basket. So taking care of our aina first. and it will take care of us. That is part of our culture. We're stewards of the land. If we take care of the land, it will take care of us. So to be a little bit more specific, I am on the Molokaʻi Community Tourism Strategic Action Plan Task Force. That's a big word there. And I've worked with HTA and also the Molokaʻi Maui Visitors Bureau. And I want to say that, you know, for the Molokaʻi Community Strategic Action Plan, again, Molokaʻi community, every community in our paʻaina is an individual. We know what resources we have, how to be responsible with them, and how we can offer them. And the HTA has been pretty good about recognizing that. And so I think they've adjusted their mass marketing into more of what each community has to offer and the education of that to our visitors and guests in our industry. And I think that if we tie that into agriculture, that will make ecotourism, as we scale down tourism and up agriculture, I think we would find a new industry, number one. Thank you.
Mahalo ʻŌiwi. Next up, we have Dan Ahuna. Dan, if you can please unmute yourself. You have 2 minutes.
Aloha mai kako. I'm also a believer of aloha aina, and what COVID-19 presented to our communities was, you know, we cannot depend on importing more food into our state. Our lands, we demand that our people learn and sustain themselves by growing more, and OHA supporting this concept of aloha aina. Tourists has occupied so much of Hawaii, and it's so hard to enjoy ourselves. And you know, the things that directly impact us are like our watermen. You know, this past Father's Day, I heard about stories about going to Waikiki and feeling like the old days. Well, Waikiki is also a special place to our Hawaii watermen, and like Dukahana Moku, and these resources, you know, no matter what, has been taken over by our tourist industry, and there's no financial benefits for our lahui to benefit from these tourist experiences. So I believe that we need to work with other agencies and work hard to establishing more benefits going towards our Native Hawaiians. Our Native Hawaiians demand more, and you know, seeing what the effects of not having tourists for a little while because of COVID-19 really has taught us a lot about how to maneuver within our communities. And again, working alongside of our stakeholders, community stakeholders, has brought more attention to how OHA can help to improve needs in these certain communities. I had the honor to work to deliver produce during the COVID times, and I was very happy to learn about these communities and know how we can help our beneficiaries.
All right, mahalo, Dan. Next up, we have another Kauaʻi and Niʻihau trustee candidate. We have Kamealoha Smith. Kamealoha, you have 2 minutes. If you can go ahead and please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. There are a lot of Native Hawaiian nonprofits and community groups that are doing good work out there that could contribute to reshaping, rebranding, and taking the visitor industry canoe in a different, more compatible direction, one that is more aligned with our Native values of malama, aloaina, kapualoha, and Molokaʻi. One such organization that I'm familiar with, of course, is the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. And I feel like they might be one of the nonprofits that we could look to for guidance with regard to creating the balance that we seek to provide quality experience for visitors, but also be very mindful of the impact that the visitors have in our communities. About a year ago, I had an opportunity to work with the County of Kauaʻi to do a project called Ike Le'a. And the project was to do a survey to the visitors and to people in the community for visitors who are visiting our wahipana, our cultural sites, in our neighborhoods, by the way. In our case, I was looking at a place called Hopi Waterfalls. The name of the entire area is called Aloha. It's between the town of Kelia and Kapa'a. What the study revealed is that there is tension between the visitor and the community. But one thing that we did decide is that if we're going to improve the experience for visitors, and we're going to improve the experience for the people who are welcome to their community, what we need to do is lessen the amount of cars that we have in the area. Lessen the amount of cars we have in the area and actually put in bus transportation so that people that come to the area would have less of an impact. I'm a really big believer in stewardship, and I feel that if I were elected an OHA trustee, I would like to be in a position to really advocate for family, ohana, lineal descendants, cultural descendants to have the opportunity to pursue stewardships so they can be in charge, they can take charge of being able to welcome people to their communities. Mahalo. Aloha.
All right, mahalo. Rounding us off on the island of Kauaʻi, we have Brittny. Brittny, can you please unmute yourself? You have 2 minutes.
Aloha. So I think this COVID-19 pandemic really made everyone realize that, yeah, we are too dependent on the tourism industry and always just perpetuating this spirit of aloha. And it just seems like that's just one part of the culture that we're constantly perpetuating, but there's so much more to us than that. And I feel like we can do that. You know, we need to perpetuate more of the culture and not just pick and choose little bits that they feel like they want to get from us. There's definitely more to us than just aloha. And I think we need more control over what we're perpetuating to these tourists. And then as well as being able to perpetuate it more than just having them come here. Like we can do it online. We can do virtual tourism. We can just be perpetuating our culture all over social media, YouTube. We can still be able to make money that way. We don't always have to just be cleaning houses for them or cooking their food for them. There's just so much more we can do than the typical way we've been doing tourism. And I want that to just be known throughout Hawaii.
All right, mahalo, Brittny. Closing out our round one and taking us back to Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi, we have Luana Alapa. Luana, if you can please unmute yourself. You have 2 minutes to close us out in this round one.
Okay, aloha. For me, the way I look at the way this OHA can play a role in balancing the benefits of tourism as well as the negative impacts on our natural and cultural resources, begin with this. Number one, OHA's primary obligation is to serve its Hawaiian beneficiaries. Tourism is not part of OHA's fiduciary responsibilities. However, OHA can, though, provide support to those Hawaiian-owned businesses involved with tourism, and OHA itself can engage in development of tourist-related sites, for example, like the Waimea Falls Park on Oahu. OHA should also be directly involved in having a seat at the table and reviewing all development permits on the state land to ensure compliance with OHA revenue commitments of the 20% that is due to the Hawaiian people, and of course the rights that we have under the Constitution. On one hand, tourism is important. It's an important part of our economy, and it helps Native Hawaiian businesses and jobs, and it must be conducted by being sensitive to the host culture and its environment. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo, Luana. And that concludes our round one. We're going to be moving on to round two, and in round two, ʻŌiwi will be the one to answer the question first, as Colette will go back down to the bottom and everyone will move up based on the order that we first spoke. Now, the second question is, for years now, OHA has raised concerns regarding the mismanagement of Mauna Kea and the disproportionate weighting of observatory development over the protection of this sacred space and the natural and cultural resources and sites the Mauna hosts. Most recently, OHA filed a lawsuit against the state and the University of Hawaii, alleging ongoing breaches of their fiduciary obligations to properly steward Mauna Kea. Do you support these activities and actions by OHA? Please describe how you perceive OHA's role in regards to the management of Mauna Kea. And once again, we have 2 minutes on the clock. And to start us off, we have ʻŌiwi. So ʻŌiwi, if you can please unmute yourself, you have the floor.
My answer is very simple. I do support OHA's actions regarding Mauna Kea. I am positive that OHA has stepped in. I see OHA's role as partner, supporter, and kiaʻi of Mauna Kea and its stewardship. That's it.
Okay, mahalo. Next up, we have Dan. Dan, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
Aloha mai. First of all, I don't think there's any side to this matter. There is no side to what's going on the mountain. You know, OHA has a constitutionally and statutory mandate that supports traditional and Native Hawaiian rights, and also supports land and water rights. You know, when our people are effectively protecting what they feel is right, is something that OHA should be behind. And I am the very proud chair of the OHA Mauna Kea Ad Hoc Committee. I'm the chair of that committee. And I am very honored to be a part of OHA in supporting our beneficiaries. There's so many ways that we can step in and support our protectors. First of all, you know, it's important for the safety and well-being of our people. And I'm so proud to be a part of what we did up there on the Mauna. If you ever visited Mauna Kea, you would see the 33 bathrooms, and OHA had a big part in paying for the bathrooms, the rubbish cans, and even the event tents going on up on the Mauna. So again, it is so important that OHA stands by our people, and what we saw up there on the mountain is systemic change for the first time. And the reason why we saw this change is because OHA stood behind our people, and we stood behind our people all the way. And again, working alongside our beneficiaries, this is when OHA does its best work. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Next up, we have Kamealoha. Kamealoha, if you can please unmute yourself and go ahead when you're ready.
Let's see. Oh, wait. You see me? Okay. Well, you know, I agree that Mauna Kea has been mismanaged by the University of Hawaii. I also agree that the lawsuit has merit. I support moving forward with activities and actions that support holding the University of Hawaii and the state of Hawaii accountable for any breach of fiduciary obligations. However, I am a little bit troubled by the fact that the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has its own issues regarding breach of fiduciary obligations, as evidenced from recent audits, and the fact that there's still ongoing state and federal investigations. Hence, there's a public perception at OHA, and while OHA is asking other agencies to clean house, I wonder what the level of commitment to clean the house at OHA is. Many of us in the Hawaiian community are extremely concerned about what we see on TV and read in the newspapers about these ongoing investigations. Managing Mauna Kea should start with transparency, and right now with the ad hoc committee, that level of transparency, in my opinion, has been compromised. If elected, I would propose that OHA establish a Mauna Kea subcommittee. This committee would be required to post their meetings and follow board rules. Meetings would be open to beneficiaries on all islands. I would volunteer to sit as a member of the committee. However, as a trustee purporting to represent Kauaʻi and Niʻihau, I feel it would be inappropriate for me to chair any such proposed Mauna Kea subcommittee. Should CV19 continue, OHA should use technology to Skype participants in from neighbor islands, especially beneficiaries from Hawaii Island, to ensure maximum participation in all meetings. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo nui Kamealoha. Next up, we have Brittny Perez. Brittny, you have 2 minutes on the clock, and the floor is yours.
So I definitely support what OHA has done for Mauna Kea and all of the protectors on the Mauna. The people called and they really answered, and they did so much more than just answer. They're there helping people who are still on the Mauna and continue to help them. So I have the absolute support for all of that. I believe they should continue supporting them for as long as this goes on, and it looks like they are. So that's all I really have to say about that. Like, I fully support them right now.
All right, mahalo nui, Brittny. Next up, we have Luana. Luana, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
First of all, I do support the OHA litigation on Mauna Kea. OHA's role in the management of Mauna Kea should be recognized by the state as perhaps maybe co-manager of the Mauna. OHA should have oversight of the Hawaiian religious and cultural areas and sites. OHA should also work closely with the lineal descendants of the Mauna, including Ali'i, to ensure protection and preservation of the burial caves and sacred Lake Waiau. To me, OHA should also continue negotiations with the University of Hawaii to better ensure proper management and looking after Native Hawaiian interests first and foremost. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Next up, we have Colette Machado. Colette, you have 2 minutes on the clock, and the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
The simple answer is this: OHA's position on the TMT is neutral. And because of that, our beneficiaries have been disappointed in our lukewarm, walk the fence line position on whether or not we supported the TMT construction. My official opinion is that, my own personal opinion is that I was only opposed to the TMT. But because we worked at the board level, we came out with the neutrality question. The neutrality position that we at the board level was that's the official position of OHA. As far as the mismanagement, after the protectors got on the Mauna and they were going through all of the protests and soliciting all of the people were coming out because they got tired of swallowing all of the stuff the state was pounding on them, all of the commercial ventures that was going up that got permits to run their tourism up there. People were just saying enough is enough. So we looked at that as a basis of tracking back the audit that they were given by the University of Hawaii. And what we found is this mismanagement for decades. It's unbelievable. And based on that, OHA felt that that could be a pathway to lend more support of removing the University of Hawaii oversight with the management of the entire mountain and going after the state of Hawaii through DLNR. So those are clear positions that OHA has engaged with. We've taken a lukewarm position on the TMT construction. We support the mismanagement and we are moving forward on that. So in 30 seconds, I tell you this straightforward. I'm the Tera from Molokaʻi who's been fighting for our people for half a century. Without peace, there is no justice. Remember that. We must find peace for our people and have that comfort level in our spirit. And we can walk away from this matter, but we cannot now. Aloha.
All right, mahalo nui, everybody. And that concludes our round 2. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to have a speed round, and then we are going to go into questions specific to Kauaʻi and Niʻihau, as well as Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi. So mahalo nui, everybody, and please stay tuned.
COVID-19 has taught us what is really essential in our lives. Toilet paper? Yep, that's essential. An affordable place to live? That's essential. Steady jobs are essential. How do we get those things? By voting PONO leaders into office who stand up for what's important. This year, Hawaii will shift to an all-mail-in voting process. Register to vote by July 9th at olvr.hawaii.gov to receive your ballot in the mail. Vote. It's essential.
Heard you have a new process of voting this year. I don't vote, bro. It's so easy. All you gotta do is register by July 9th, get the ballot in the mail, fill them out, send them back. No lines, no poll stations, just you and your kuleana.
The only kuleana I have is become the next big MMA fighter.
Do you think that's kuleana?
Lima McFarland.
Quote, it's our kuleana, our right and responsibility. Before you represent Hawaii in the cage, make sure you represent your people with your ballot.
Aloha ho, velina mai, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us in this OHA Trustee Candidate Forum. We're going to do something a little fun. This is our speed round question. All right, so it's going to be 30 seconds that the OHA Trustee candidates have to answer this question. And the question is very simple. What is your favorite, Mauka or Molokaʻi? Out of the two, which is your favorite place to visit? And we're going to start off with Dan. Dan, in 30 seconds, what's your favorite, Mauka or Molokaʻi? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Mauka. I love to go Mauka, and the reason why I'm a land lover, and the mountains is a great place to go. Kokee is a great place to just doze off and just look at the stars. Beautiful place. I think Kokee is another place that we should be protecting as well.
All right, thank you, Dan. I gotta tell you, I couldn't hear you at first, but you looked real excited to say Mauka. All right, Kamealoha. 30 seconds. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What is your favorite, Mauka or Molokaʻi?
Mine would be Molokaʻi. I'm a huge fan of the ocean. I'm a huge fan of the Kauaʻi. I spend a lot of time studying there. It inspires me to haku mele, haku oli. One of my favorite beaches that I go to almost every day is Wailua. The traditional name for the area is called the Alio Beach, and it's located in East Kauaʻi. It's also the home of Heiau Complex, Wahikupuna, if you will, and it's a place where you can learn about traditional Hawaiian culture as well as celebrate modern culture as well. So Alio Beach, Wailua, Kauaʻi. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo. Next up, we have Brittny. Brittny, Mauka or Molokaʻi, which is your favorite to visit? Go ahead and unmute
Definitely
yourself.
Molokaʻi. I have a lot of fishermen in the family, so I spend a lot of time fishing with my tutukane, with my anake, just like pretty much the whole family. Since I was maybe like 2-3 years old, I remember falling asleep on the beach while they're still fishing, getting all sunburned. So it's always been so much fun. Even just being able to go out on a boat too. I love that. Like, that's my favorite. I did get the chance to go out to Lehua Rock and go swimming out there as well.
All right, mahalo nui. Next up, we have Luana. Luana, what is your favorite place to visit? Mauka, Molokaʻi, and how come?
Oh, definitely Molokaʻi. Growing up, we've always spent majority of our time in the ocean, swimming, playing with our cousins. I think Hawaii has the most beautiful beaches in the world. I've traveled all over the world and have been blessed to see the wonderful places, but nothing beats our beautiful beaches, especially my favorite hangout and to just enjoy. And I was just recently there at Papahaku Beach, the most incredible, unspoiled stretch of white sand beach. Gotta see that. It's amazing. Thank you.
All right, mahalo nui. Next up, we have, to quote her, our tira from Molokaʻi, Trustee Machado, Mauka or Molokaʻi, and why?
For me, it's can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. For me, it's a no-brainer. It's Molokaʻi. You know, we've been involved with fish pond restoration on the Manaʻi side of Molokaʻi. My favorite fish pond is Kahina Pohaku. The haku there, or the kumu there, is Lemana Naki. And when he throws his net there, it's such a beautiful sight. And when the upena gets picked up and you see the fish in the net, what a sight. And then when he brings it up for us to share, oh, ma'anama.
All right, mahalo nui. And lastly, we have Ui. Mauka or Molokaʻi, and why?
I don't want to cheat, and I cannot say it's like yin and yang or an ahupua'a. You cannot have one without the other. I take both.
All right, thank you so much. And that concludes our speed round question. Now we're going to go into questions that are specific to the areas in which our candidates come from. For starters, we're going to start off with our OHA Trustee candidates representing Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi. And we're going to start off with Colette. And the question for our Molokaʻi Lānaʻi trustee candidates is this. OHA has been a staunch advocate for community and place-based resource management. Since its initial establishment in the late 1990s, the Mo'omomi community-based subsistence fishing area has in many ways sparked a movement for community-based subsistence fishing areas throughout the islands. And the most recent efforts to re-establish a community-based subsistence fishing area for the northwest coast of Molokaʻi has even won international recognition. Should OHA continue its advocacy and support for these community-based management areas throughout the islands? Why or why not? Colette, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
The Office of Hawaiian Affairs has taken the leadership to work with community-based management individuals from the different parts of the Pa'aina, from Kauaʻi all the way to Kona. It all began back in the early 90s under the leadership of Mac Poipoi. He's considered a master fisherman with the Mo'omomi area. Hui Malama o Mo'omomi was the organization that was formed to do the inshore preservation and to manage the spawning of the fish that would come and multiply. It also began to look at regulatory kind of frameworks to manage lobster taking and to do the different moon phases and to identify the kind of limo that grew in that area. We know that the best seaweed that's from there is the red kohu, and that's very hard to get. And it's only in that particular shoreline area that you can get this beautiful limo kohu. So bottom line is this: we've been working for years to get this approved under the state umbrella, but there is some division on the island that separates the movement forward. We've been looking towards the DLNR to conduct its statewide meetings to get input so that it can come to some final closure. Without OHA on the forefront, many of these community areas would not have achieved their CBFSA certification.
All right, mahalo nui. Next up, we have Luana sharing her mana'o. Luana, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself. 2 minutes is on the clock.
Go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. In regards to OHA continuing its advocacy and support for these community-based management areas throughout the islands, definitely. Definitely, I support that because it's the advocacy for the community and these place-based resource management that is utmost importance to continue the practices in Molokaʻi as well as throughout the islands. Molokaʻi has a model that should be expanded into other places outside of Molokaʻi so that everyone will benefit from a program such as this. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, Luana. And rounding us up in our OHA trustee candidates from Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi, we have ʻŌiwi. ʻŌiwi, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Please share us your mana'o.
Okay, I'm the unpopular one. So I do believe that OHA should continue its advocacy for the community-based resource management, most definitely. We need a strong advocate out there for the different communities to have a louder and stronger voice. However, with regards to Mo'omomi, this is my backyard. My entire street goes down there for holiday weekends, and I am against CBSFA on Mo'omomi. Props to Uncle Mac. He is a master fisherman, and what he's done out there has been incredible. However, he's not the only master fisherman in our community. And our community does hunt, gather, and fish at this area. And so it's up to us, I think, that should be able to dictate what happens to our backyard. So I'm more for the Native Hawaiian Gathering Rights Association. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, ʻŌiwi. All right, now we go over to the island of Kauaʻi, and these are the OHA trustee candidates representing the Kauaʻi and Niʻihau. Your question is, the Hanapepe salt ponds are a key puka that serve as one of the last places where the traditional and customary practice of salt making has endured, representing a singular, unique living connection to the rich historical and cultural traditions that inform Native Hawaiian identity and values even today. However, the salt ponds of Hanapepe have been at an increased risk of severe and potentially irreparable harm from a multitude of threats, including vehicular and visitor overuse of adjacent areas, climate change and sea level rise, and even contamination from jet fuel and human and animal waste. What, if anything, should be done to address these threats and otherwise ensure that the salt ponds traditions of Hana Pepe can continue for future generations? What role can OHA play in such solutions? And to start us off, we have Kamealoha. Kamealoha, you have 2 minutes of the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Okay, am I ready? Okay. I support OHA's involvement at Hana Pepe Salt Ponds. The salt ponds are a kipuka. They're an integral part of our upbringing on the island of Kauaʻi, historically and culturally. I applaud the Ohana for requesting for kukua from OHA. It's my understanding that the resources are made available for the Ohana and the hui, who are there to alakai the efforts to malama that salt pond. You know, on Kauaʻi, we have so many places that deserve attention and oversight. Let me mention a few of them. We have Wailua, Hanalei, Anahola, Haena. And we are all subject to sea level rise. We're all subject to climate change. We're all subject to human impact. And I myself have been at the forefront of writing grants and bringing in resources to the island of Kauaʻi to address those issues. And it's not an easy issue to address, because when you address those issues, we want to use both Western science as well as traditional knowledge. Trying to create a model where the two can merge and work together is not an easy process, but it has to get done. And I'm so glad that I'm continuing to help to fight for our community to get more and more resources to address these issues. If I were elected, OHA trustee for the island of Kauaʻi and Niʻihau, I would propose putting together a community-based project to inventory culture kipuka on Kauaʻi, assess what needs to be done to malama these sites and traditional culture, customary practices. For those places in need of stewardship, I would put effort to working with other agencies to put into place kahu malama, stewards that may be a one person, a community, or ohana, who have kuleana to malama or to take care of those cultural areas. And as I've mentioned before, if OHA is to commit resources to assisting community to develop oversight and monitoring, then we should put forth a process or a program that is transparent, inclusive, and open to all beneficiaries who qualify for these programs. Mahalo.
All right. Mahalo nui, everybody, for sharing your passion and your mana'o in regards to your community. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to close things out. Oh, kalamai, color crayons, kalamungai. We still have Dan. And Dan, can you please go ahead and share your mana'o on this question? You have 2 minutes on the clock.
Thank you very much. And before we take a break, the salt ponds of Hana Pepe is someplace not just special, but very unique in this entire world. It's one of two places. And what's amazing is the salt that it produces. This land should be protected. This land is historic, and this what makes this land unique is the upwellings of salt coming up, and the mana of it all is the black clay that comes out of the ground that they make their bowls out of, and creates this pa'akai, this alai salt. And it's one of the healthiest salts in the world. And it was important for OHA to advocate and step in and help the families of the salt pond. They're dealing with several issues around this area: homeless, the helicopter business, also even just people just driving along the sand and just driving on the beach just to enjoy the beach. These type of things all affect what is going on in Hana Pepe. And I really, really believe that OHA did a very good job. And thus, I'm hoping that, right now is the time that they should be making salt right now and harvesting. And I'm hoping that's going on. And I was very proud to be a part of advocating and standing behind our families and all the salt makers in Hanapepe. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo nui Dan. Ihui kala mai on trying to jump the gun. Naʻui heva. Brittny, can you please close us out with your passion and your mana'o on this question? You have 2 minutes on the clock. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the salt ponds, I feel like OHA could really help the community with creating some kind of educational, like not so much a program, but even just like a plaque over there, just to help educate everyone, like the community, the tourists who come through to learn about the salt ponds that are there. Some people don't even realize it's right there next to them in the parking lot. This would definitely help deter people from creating more pollution in the area. You know, whether it's broken glass bottles, whether, you know, their own feces in the ocean and just stuff like that will greatly help the whole community and just the salt pond beds from pollution. And it's just so simple. We see something similar at on base over here in Mana, and they have like their own little reservation area on base, and they have like a huge plaque set up, and it's just there to educate people about the native species that are there and like why it's something that they're trying to preserve. And I feel like that's just one small thing we could do that could have a good impact on the area.
All right. Mahalo nui, Brittny. Mahalo, everybody, for sharing your passion and for sharing your mana'o. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be rounding out with the last questions, including our final statements. So we'll be here when you get back. Mahalo.
Bruh, heard you have a new process of voting this year. I don't vote, bro. Bruh, why not? It's so easy. All you gotta do is register by July 9th, get the ballot in the mail, fill them out, send them back. No lines, no poll station, just you and your kuleana.
The only kuleana I have is become the next big MMA fight.
You think that's kuleana?
Elena McFarlane?
Vote. It's our kuleana, our right and responsibility. Before you represent Hawaii in the cage, make sure you represent your people with your ballot.
You vote?
Of course I vote. That's the only way I can knock out leaders that don't serve my community. Visit olvr.hawaii.gov and register by July 9th.
COVID-19 has taught us what is really essential in our lives. Toilet paper? Yep, that's essential. An affordable place to live? That's essential. Steady jobs are essential. How do we get those things? By voting PONO leaders into office who stand up for what's important. This year, Hawaii will shift to an all mail-in voting process. Register to vote by July 9th at olvr.hawaii.gov to receive your ballot in the mail. Vote. It's essential.
All right, mahalo nui, everybody, for joining us on this OHA Trustee Candidate Forum. We are going into our next question, and our next question starts us off with Kamealoha Smith, and our question is this. In a recent survey conducted by OHA, the number one issue amongst respondents was the issue of affordable housing. As trustee of OHA, what would you do to position OHA to address this issue? Kamealoha Smith, you have 2 minutes on the clock, and you may begin as soon as you unmute yourself.
Okay, so affordable housing is one of the most pressing issues facing Native Hawaiians. It's an issue that's faced by many people in Hawaii, not just Hawaii, both Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians. Simply put, there just aren't enough affordable housing units in Hawaii. And OHA needs to work with the local government, the state, and the federal government to review current programs to assess whether the current programs are appropriate to pursue building affordable housing for Hawaiians who are not eligible for DHHL programs. If elected, I would work with the community, nonprofits, and agencies to review current strategies to address immediate needs and develop new strategies as necessary to address the current housing crisis. I would use OHA lands and monies to build infrastructure and affordable homes for all Hawaiians who meet income qualifications. Second, as a trustee, empower our local community nonprofit capacity so they can work more effectively with state and federal agencies to assist in the process of getting more affordable housing projects going on in our communities. Today I just had kind of a side note, a little bit off the script here, but today I had an opportunity to meet with one of the communities I work with specifically on this issue, and it's a houseless community. The best that we can do with this houseless community is to provide a transitional plan to get them from houseless to being housed. So that's what we're working right now on in our communities here on Kauaʻi to address the houselessness issue. And I hope to continue to work with this homeless community, the County of Kauaʻi, and other agencies that are there to help people get into homes. Thank you very much. Mahalo. Aloha.
All right, next up we have Brittny. Brittny, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself, the floor is yours. 2 minutes is on the clock.
Hi, yeah, so with the houseless community, I think a lot of the time, first of all, many of them are working. They're not like lazy, they're not doing anything wrong. A lot of them are working. I've had my own manager at one point who was houseless with her children, and she worked full time. We really just need to help getting them get the resources that they're entitled to. And I feel like communication is really lacking in the community, and they just aren't aware of many of the resources that are available, whether it's through OHA or through other agencies. But it's there, just many people don't know how to utilize it right now.
All right, thank you, Brittny. We have 2 minutes on the clock, and Luana, though, that time is yours. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and the floor is yours to share your mana'o.
As OHA trustee, I would work toward utilizing affordable housing models such as Hunsador and other local businesses that offer prefab or pre-cut models that are easily assembled and affordable. I would work with self-help groups that are currently helping Hawaiians build their own homes on their own lots. I would diligently work to expand current OHA programs for Hawaiians on all islands so that they can be mentored in construction or specialize in the trade industries such as carpentry, roofing, painting, electrical, and so on. DHHL has the land, OHA has the funding. With this partnership, we should immediately be able to reduce the waiting list by thousands. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Luana. Next up, we have Trustee Machado. Colette, if you can please unmute yourself. You have 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay. Our Kama'aina that is born and raised in Hawaii, they want to continue to remain here and not lose their children to exit to the mainland for better opportunities. So having affordable homes and working it through Hawaiian Homes is ideal for those that qualify. You have to be 50% plus to be eligible for the Hawaiian Homes program. We serve both beneficiary groups, which is less than 50% also. So some of the components you would look for is to provide some form of beneficiary assessment to be eligible for the loan products that could come out of down payments that we could help with, reducing some of their opportunities with a better package deal. Currently, OHA provides $3 million annually to the Department of Hawaiian Homes, but this is not to provide for awards or to do distribution of awards to their beneficiaries. But yes, they do have the land. OHA might be able to coordinate resources from other, what we call Native Hawaiian Trust to help place people on the land. But they need to have financial literacy to be eligible for certain products that can come out of the banking institution. OHA should be there to provide for down payments for them and to support them through this literacy program and to provide a package and incentive for them to have these resources for a down payment. So I just know that we can work with Hawaiian Homes. I believe that OHA is working hard to get this fact resolved about affordable homes, and we want our people to remain here and not to be relocated out of state.
All right, mahalo. Next up, we have ʻŌiwi Kahue-Cabanting. You have 2 minutes on the clock, and the floor is yours.
Sorry about that. Affordable housing, first, working with DHHL to get people off the list and on the homestead. By providing help with the infrastructure, that's usually one of the biggest things. Then providing incentives for companies like Luana mentioned, Habitat, FabMac, that can help build, but the homesteaders themselves, as a community, we're really strong. Not everybody qualifies for financing, so we have to be creative with that. Maybe OHA can step in and help with the co-signing process. Finding incentives for these partners, not just with the building, but also with the maintenance, like solar power companies, water catchment, things like that. Incentives like helping to pay for the shipping of materials. In the state of Hawaii, that always catches you. Helping to pay for meters or the installations, but not the actual product. Also coordinating, there was a thing about FabMac where they had really inexpensive homes and they looked great and fully functional and it was wonderful. However, they needed at least 6 to charter a special barge to get it off island. And to have 6 homes, permits and processing and everything ready, done, land graded, all that stuff ready to go at the same time was nearly impossible. So if OHA could also help facilitate with that, that'd be great. Working with legislation on the state level and even the individual counties, the permit process. A lot of the homesteaders can't even get past that. And to have that knowledge and background is very minimal and it's very difficult. If you've never been a homeowner before and never built a home before, it's a wall that most people can't climb. And so, yes, also knowing that maybe there could be alternative housing. In Molokaʻi, we have our buses, we converted, we have ADUs in Honolulu, we have container homes. These all should be looked at as alternative methods and options. Thank you.
All right, mahalo. And closing us out in this round, we have Dan Ahuna. Dan, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Mahalo. First of all, Kanaka Maoli should never, ever have to feel that leaving Hawaii is an option, is their only option. The problem we're having with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands is I think they need more autonomy from the state bureaucracies. And in order to achieve this, we have to convene to discuss the potential for creating housing options that ensure local residents have access to affordable housing. And OHA, in their role, need to invest in developing these collaborative plans to achieve autonomy for DHHL and Kamealoha Schools Trust, Queen Liliuokalani Trust, and Department of Hawaiian Homes needs to help get the Department of Hawaiian Home beneficiaries back on their land. And the reason why we want to do this is because when you provide affordable, when you provide homes for our Native Hawaiians, for the 30,000 waitlisters, I think it's important to understand that we're also providing 30,000 housing options for our people at large. And that's very important. And I think OHA can play a vital role, and I think OHA is going to play a vital role in developing and getting other Native Hawaiian trusts to partner up and help our community of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands get back on their land.
All right, mahalo nui, Dan. Now, this is our last question that we have in our last round before we give your final statements. And the question is, as a result of the COVID crisis, we have seen many communities experience food insecurity throughout Hawaii. Increasing food production has long been a demand of many Native Hawaiians and non-Hawaiian community leaders. How can OHA play a role in responding to this demand? And starting us off is Brittny. Brittny, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Whenever you're ready, unmute yourself.
I think OHA can really help the community get back on the lands, whether it's through nonprofit 401k, or not 401k, but the nonprofit organizations that they can create for themselves. But we just really need to, again, it's about the education. The average person doesn't even know how to do this. So we somehow need to create a way to educate the people here so that they can get back on these lands and, you know, request to use these lands for agriculture. And this way our community can feed ourselves and we can stop being dependent on barges coming in or like more mats and containers coming in to provide us food that we can really just grow ourselves. So I think OHA can really do something like that.
Mahalo nui, Brittny. Next up, we have Luana Alapa. Luana, you have 2 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself and the floor is yours.
Aloha. Food security in Hawaii can be strengthened by ensuring that our state continues to grow, cultivate, harvest, and market foods important to Hawaii. This requires OHA to support our commercial and subsistence fishermen and women, encourage the establishment of a state law in recognizing Hawaiian fishing rights in our state, and provide small businesses grants for financing economic ventures in this area. In addition, OHA needs to protect traditional kalo and cultivation and water rights. I saw firsthand how food shortage affected the Molokaʻi people, especially the kupuna, who are no longer able to hunt, fish, or farm, or let alone feed themselves. The desire to see self-sustenance amongst our people strengthened my resolve in my wanting to run for OHA trustee, as I realized the seriousness and attention that should be focused on sustainable agriculture, not just on Molokaʻi, but throughout all of the Hawaiian Islands. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Luana. Next up, we have Colette Machado. Colette, 2 minutes is on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself and the floor is yours.
You can divide the question up into a couple of areas. In COVID means OHA must continue to provide emergency financial assistance, protect those that are having financial setbacks because of their unemployment checks, and then protecting their homes. And we must continue to advocate and direct services to assist beneficiaries towards solution-driven initiatives. Emergency financial assistance. OHA provides $1,500 for those that need the emergency help to cover their electricity, for their rents, etc. That must continue. Post-COVID is transitioning into what we call a new normal. Challenges ahead as we move towards normalcy will never be the same as we had known in the past. Compliance to CDC requirements, maintaining social distances, use of protective gear for interaction. That's the most difficult. We're loving and hugging and people that just loves to be in touch with one another. That has to change. That is changing, and it's been most difficult for us. Re-examining, assessing environmental, economic impacts overall. All of these things will be part of the changes that are coming. It's not an easy thing, but OHA is continuing to align itself with those needs through our grant-making program. We have several options that are available now for those nonprofits that would like to continue to serve in this capacity, and also to do agricultural activities too. So moving forward, it'll never be the same. Post-COVID is where we are now, and we want to be able to help as much as we can.
All right, thank you, Colette. Next up, we have ʻŌiwi. The clock is reset to 2 minutes, and the floor is yours. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Okay, so the pandemic really showed a shortfall in food safety, and food safety has been a major issue approached it very heavily in the last few years. Going back years ago, being from Molokaʻi, it was said that Molokaʻi could produce enough food for the entire state and still export. Molokaʻi Ranch was a major producer of food, whether it was beef and ag, also water, and now it's an investment property. So I've attended several seminars and symposiums. My partner's a master gardener. I just received my aquaponics and hydroponics tech certificate, and my idea was to create food towers for smaller living spaces, because a lot of our Kanaka do not have the land, space, resources, or a yard to grow their own food. So this would be something they could do on their patio And it was just looking for solutions. I'm proud of Maui right now with their food hubs, and also with the move of the developing of their own Department of Agriculture. I think that gives a group that was viewed as a self-interest now a legislative body, and will have the powers of legislation to go ahead and make that a reality, their mission. I think that OHA would be wonderful if we could help with education and funding with the small businesses, the groups that are hunter-gatherers, fishers, cultural practitioners in food safety, and also in the education of all that. I think that Molokaʻi is still in a great position to be able to fund the state, but I think also our other communities, the fishing, the hunting, those are lost cultural arts that we need to re-educate and perpetuate.
Mahalo nui ʻŌiwi. And closing us off in this question, we have Kamealoha. Kamealoha, 2 minutes is on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself when you are ready.
Here on the island of Kauaʻi, there are a lot of people who desire to be engaged in farming, both at a subsistence level and also to do more than that, to be able to produce food for the community and for the island, as well as for the commercial sector as well. What the COVID-19 has revealed to our people is that accessing healthy food is a challenge for a lot of Hawaiian families. Simply put, good health and opportunities for healthy foods still remains out of reach for many Hawaiian families, and not having healthy food choices is a problem. To increase access to nutritious and healthy food, to improve the overall health of our people, and to strengthen food security, I believe OHA needs to work with our community to provide the financial and technical support needed to increase management and control of native agriculture and food systems. If elected, would advocate that OHA have a position, either BLNR or the Department of Agriculture, whoever makes the land decisions that have to do with agricultural lands, because I know that there's land there for Native Hawaiian people and others, to lease. Second, I would dedicate some resources to develop a database within OHA so that when our beneficiaries do put in their application, there's a way for OHA and the staff to be able to bird dog the application to make sure the application can be reviewed and, if qualified, put up for approval. Thank you very much. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo nui. And before we move on to our closing statements, we're going to reset the clock. And Dan Ahuna, the floor is yours when you unmute your mic. Mahalo.
Aloha, thank you. We've learned a lot through this COVID-19 pandemic time, and the COVID-19 crisis magnified our food insecurity issues for all to see. The state of Hawaii and the Hawaiian Trust must immediately inventory all available agricultural lands and invest in clearing those lands to make them available for farming, and also a strategic plan that includes next steps for landowners, lenders, and distributors and large food service customers such as the DOE must be developed and rolled out immediately. You know, we all learn from these times, and we all learn that our foods can be transferred straight to the cafeterias at these public schools, and we need to be using our own farming, our own foods from our farms to help our own local businesses here. We shouldn't have any things shipped in or brought in to our island that takes up from and takes away from our local farmers. It's always important to practice best practices, and I believe inventory, getting a good inventory of our lands and what is available is the right way to approach this. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Dan. All right. Thank you, everyone, for all of your mana'o and answering all of these questions. At this time, we're going to put a minute on the clock, and we're going to go back to our original order As we did our introductions, we're going to have that same order for your final closing statements. A minute is on the clock, and we're going to start off with Luana. You have 1 minute. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. One of the main reasons why I am running for OHA Molokaʻi trustee is to address unresolved issues concerning the latest audit where millions of dollars are unaccounted for, as well as bring transparency and accountability to the board. I would have an open door policy so that I could listen to beneficiaries and be responsive to their concerns. I'm approachable, kind, understanding, and I'd work tirelessly to grow the trust with the goal of raising and sustaining the highest quality of life for our Hawaiian people. A guiding principle that my father taught me is selfless service. Selfless service to others is one of the important values, Hawaiian values, we can enhance and improve the conditions of Native Hawaiians. With this said, and with this goal in mind, I would be honored to serve as your Molokaʻi OHA trustee. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Luana. Next up, we have Colette. Colette, you have a minute on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
Aloha mai. Thank you for the time for allowing us to express our own opinions and the questions that have been developed. I wanted to say that although I've been criticized currently by the two Molokaʻi candidates about not being transparent, but this is how I want to leave my situation. As an incumbent candidate, I have worked hard to increase transparency and efficiency at OHA throughout my career. Since the release of the mandated state auditor report of OHA in February 2018, I have been committed to incorporate effective policy changes which allow for open and transparent disclosure by OHA CEO and administration. Thank you.
Mahalo nui, Colette. Next up, we have Ui. Ui, you have a minute for your closing statements. When you unmute yourself, the floor is yours.
Thank you. OHA strategic priorities for improving the condition of Native Hawaiians regarding aina, culture, economic self-sufficiency, those are unique to the different islands. The reason I'm running for Molokaʻi Lānaʻi seat is because I live in Molokaʻi. My family's been there for a long time. I'm for the maka'ainana. I'm a small mom and pop business owner, and I think these issues are unique to us and Lānaʻi. By the way, I'm going to be in Lānaʻi tomorrow to meet with the residents to hear their input. So I think that, Anake Colette, I think you've done amazing things and incredible things in your tenure. But 24 years, I think it's time for a change. And Luana, I think you're a beautiful person inside and out. I think you should use your influence, but I think it would be more appropriate at large and not for the Molokaʻi seat, considering you just moved there. I think that if I were OHA representative, one of the things I would change is the term limits and its residency requirements. Other than that, I appreciate the time you've given us. Thank you very much, and mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Ui. All right, taking us over to the OHA trustee candidates running for Kauaʻi and Niʻihau. We start off with Dan Ahuna. You have a minute on the clock. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Mahalo nui, and mahalo nui to all of you who is putting on this great panel. First of all, I just want to say to some of the things going on, it's very unfortunate that these types of accusations are made towards public servants all the time, and I see it as the incumbent, and I know the people, they know and understand, because they know and understand who I am. And I'm a person who can be trusted, and I'm a person who can be trusted serving our beneficiaries. And I've always standing behind our beneficiaries, and I want to make sure that, you know, I was a person who was taught about standing in that batter's box and just swinging for the fence. You know, at a very young age, I hit a foul ball and it hit my forehead. And before I could even cry and walk off the field, my mom came down the stands and looked at me and told me, "Where are you going? No, you get back in there and you swing." So I eventually hit the ball back to the pitcher and got out at first. And all I heard from her was, "Good job, son." And that's the kind of person I am. I'm willing to stand in that batter's box and hit home runs for you.
All right, mahalo nui, Dan. Next up, we have Kamealoha. You have a minute on the clock, Kamealoha, and you can unmute yourself, and the floor is yours.
I mahalo for this opportunity to share my mana'o with everyone. I felt compelled to run for OHA because of the many challenges my community and the larger communities of Kauaʻi and Niʻihau are facing due to CV-19. Small businesses have closed, people have lost their jobs, and homelessness has increased. This is happening all over Hawaii, and we need solutions. It's difficult for OHA to address these issues when there's little to no communication with the community, when we see infighting at meetings, and when there are articles in the newspaper about state and federal investigations. OHA must do better. OHA needs bold new leadership for the island of Kauaʻi, a leader who has the courage to clean house at OHA, a leader who is committed to work with everyone, and a leader who has innovative ideas to move our community and Hawaii forward. I am that person who has the experience, qualifications, and passion to work with everyone to pull us through these uncertain times. I humbly ask that you vote Kamealoha Smith as your next OHA Kauaʻi and Niʻihau Island trustee. Please come on this journey with me to take this canoe in a new direction. Hiki no a lanakila, together we can. Mahalo.
All right, mahalo nui, Kamealoha. And we have Brittny Perez. Brittny, you have a minute on the clock to share with us your final closing statements.
So my reasons that I felt like running for OHA this year is because I really want to get back and focus on housing everyone. I feel like when our people aren't housed, it creates a whole host of problems that just bleeds out into the rest of our lives, whether that's health, that's lack of education, or like even human trafficking. Just so much more happens that's so detrimental to our people because they aren't safely housed. So I really want to concentrate on that because that's really the open wound that we constantly are just mopping up by focusing on other issues.
All right, mahalo, Brittny. We do want to mahalo all of these candidates who have joined us today. Mahalo Luana, Colette, ʻŌiwi, Dan, Kamealoha, and Brittny. These have been the OHA trustee candidates for the representation of Molokaʻi and Lānaʻi, as well as Kauaʻi and Niʻihau. Next week, we will be back here, same place, same time, July 9th, and we will be having a talk story session with the OHA candidates running for Hawaii Island. It will be in a similar format. On July 9th, I just want to remind everyone again, that is also the deadline to register to vote. So if you have not registered to vote, go ahead and visit olvr.hawaii.gov. You have until July 9th to register. Mahalo nui, everybody, for joining us. Mahalo to all of the candidates for being here and sharing your passion, sharing your mana'o. And I hope to see you guys all here next week to listen to the trustees, candidates for Hawaii Island. Aloha nui.